Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Holly Furfer, and I am so happy to have everybody here. What an honor it is to have our guest today, Jami Gertz. You know her from TV, Square Pegs, movies, The Lost Boys, which I have to say, in full disclosure, is my husband's favorite, and Less Than Zero. But she is not just a movie and TV star. She is an investor. She is a businesswoman. And we are so happy to have you with us today, Jami, especially as an Atlantan, or at least a part-time Atlantan.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Holly. I appreciate you. One of my Southern, colloquialisms that I've gotten to have now. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you having me.
You're fitting right into the South. You and I are both from the Chicago area, so I know it's been a bit of an adjustment for you, but we're glad that you're here. And, I want to talk about, first of all, you started in television, movies. Talk about how you got into your career and what mentors you had along the way, because that's a really tough business to get into.
Yes, I started when I was 16 years old. I was found in a talent search. Norman Lear's company, Embassy Television, was kind of combing the country for a new show called Square Pegs, and they needed young people, and they just went on a search throughout the States. But before that, I have to say, my fifth grade teacher, Miss Sally Wing, recognized that I was very chatty in English class and said, you need to go out for the school play. And I was like, really? I was an ice skater until then. And she said, yeah, you have to audition for the school play. So I think she recognized something natural in me. I was a storyteller in class, probably when I shouldn't have been. So really, Miss Wing was the one who, had me go out for plays and start that path as an actress. But also in high school, also my English teacher, Dr. Dieter, was at Maine East High School, was a big proponent in helping me kind of recognize my abilities and my talents and how to hone them and make them specific and use them for what, became this career. So women really were at the forefront of recognizing something that I probably didn't recognize in myself at the time. I was just, in the school play. But when I was chosen for Square Pegs, I was a junior in high school. And so I spent part of my junior year and all of my senior year in Los Angeles shooting Square Pegs. And that really started me. And I think the most amazing thing about that show, an amazing woman who was one of the head writers of Saturday Night Live, the original Saturday Night Live, the first female head writer, Ann Beats, created Square Pegs. And our writing staff was, I would say, the 5 women and 1 man on Square Pegs back in 1983.
That's amazing.
That did not happen. And that was just, her, bringing along talented women and recognizing talented women.
Did that sort of, seeing that maybe at the time you weren't consciously aware of it because you were so young, but when you look back at that, do you does it sort of spark something in you like, oh, wow, this was a necessity way back when, and this is something that was very important, that because you carry that forward?
I think what I noticed often on sets was that it was very male dominated. The crew was mostly men. The females would be in kind of hair and makeup and in, wardrobe. So this was the first time that I really was seeing women producing, directing, and writing a show. And I think it was really groundbreaking at that time. I don't think that I recognized it. I was 16. I was in Hollywood from Glenview, Illinois. I was like, this is awesome. So I didn't really recognize it at that moment, but it was something that was truly groundbreaking. And, there were amazing women that came before me for sure, breaking the glass ceilings.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is it's Your Hour, Her Power campaign. I want to get it right. It's kind of a tongue twister. But basically, it's rooted in the belief that empowered women are really the foundation of strong communities and successful businesses, prosperous economies. And you were nominated as someone who not only embodies that success, but throughout your career, you continued throughout your entire career to reach back and support other women. So what are the ways that you personally empowered other women? And why do you think that was so important to you to be able to say, I need to reach back, reach over, pull up?
I'm going to say this: when I was younger and my younger self didn't think about it that much. I'm just going to say that. I'm sorry that's, I just was worried about working, paying my rent, and feeding myself. But when I look back at who my agent was, female, Tony Howard, back in the day in the 80s, who my manager, my publicist was, Susan Geller, woman, and who my lawyer was, Melanie Cook, a woman.
Wow.
So, and that wasn't me saying I need women to represent me at that time. They were the best of the best who happened to be women. So for me, it certainly wasn't something at 16, 17, 18 I was critically thinking about. It was almost just natural for me to have women around me, powerful women around me, mighty women who were so smart and so talented and so successful. So something inside me just went down that road of, these are the people I want to surround myself with. And guess what? They were mighty women.
Yep, you had that gut instinct. You knew.
I just knew that they were amazing and this is where I was comfortable, and they kicked ass at their jobs.
So you not only, though, are an actress, but you also are very involved in the business world. You're part owner of the Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks, our NBA amazing soon-to-be champion basketball team. We'll just put that there.
Yes. Yes.
And, you even represented the Hawks in the draft. And, people noticed it. You got a lot of media for that because there's a woman in a male-dominated world. How important was it for you to be the face of the NBA draft and also to get involved in business and not just say, you know what, I'm going to I'll be a silent partner. I'll just be an investor, but you're involved.
Listen, I come from two brothers. I adore my father. And I have 3 sons, and I married 33 years to a man I adore. So men are very much a part of my life, my loving, my wishing, my hoping for their successes, right? That's just part of who I am. And I've always felt that I should be alongside that. I never felt that I only fit into one box or one particular place, because the men in my life have always really valued me. I'm just going to say that. I've always felt loved, supported, and they have only wanted me to do well. I mean, throughout my career, my husband was called Mr. Gertz. Party wrestlers. Throughout my career, people were like, "Hi, Mr. Gertz, we love your wife. We love you." So he was used to it for a very long time. And I think that for me, in the Hawks, it's a family business for us. Mm-hmm. So I was changing my life. Tony and I were changing our lives, moving midlife to a city that I had never even visited. So it was a very quick transition, and we were Laker fans. I'm going to say up until then, we could afford 1 game a year. Then we made a little money. We could afford like shared tickets. And finally we made enough money to be able to become season ticket holders. And it was really part of our children's childhoods coming to Laker games with us. And Jeannie Buss, I saw all the time.
Yeah.
With the Lakers and Linda Rambis. So I saw very mighty women running, a basketball team and running it well after Dr. Buss passed. So I had those women, and it just seemed like that was natural. Jeannie took over for her father. And so it's not something that I specifically said, oh, I have to be in business this way, or I have to, it's part of my relationship with Tony that we're partners. We've always been partners in life and in love and in raising our children. And so it's a partnership, and it just continues that way with the Atlanta Hawks basketball team. So I had to find out where I fit and where my, skill set worked the best.
And boy, did it. Let me tell you, everybody was like, wow, that's Jami Gertz. She's picking the players for the Hawks in the draft. I mean, but it sent a really great message, not only to women, but to young women, who I think that's so important, that we are great role models for them, to show them there are no limits, right? You can be in a male-dominated sports world and still represent women well. So what advice would you give to those young girls who are looking up to you and looking up to other women in the business world, to say, you can do this too?
I think we should never limit ourselves. I think I grew up just after women were limiting themselves. I was lucky enough to see my mom, who was raised us, which, by the way, I'm just going to say, raising a family is probably the toughest job I've ever had. Health and well-being of other human beings that my body physically created, and, having them come out healthy and happy and strong is my greatest work victory, because that was my hardest job, really.
Yeah.
But I would say to young women today, don't limit yourself. Men are not limiting us. Men are saying, here's your seat. Take your seat at the table, and, believe you belong there. And know that you can speak up. You can say your piece. You can ask questions. This is one of the biggest things that I think for women. Once you are at the table, maybe you're afraid to ask questions because it'll look like you don't know something. Not everyone knows everything. Not the CEO, not the person that, the truck driver who's bringing the products to the, not everyone knows everything, and no one's a mind reader. So ask questions. It doesn't mean that you aren't good at your job. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be there. I think it's probably one of the smartest things you can do is say, hey, time out. And this used to be me on set all the time, because so much is going on when you're shooting things that, and Video Village is far away from where you're actually sitting, and there would be direction coming in. All the actors would be looking at each other, and you would see my face in the camera going, time out, which, because I'm part of a basketball team now, very familiar.
Right.
But I was like, time out. It could also mean technical foul, but
That's right.
I would say, we don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Can someone come explain to us what we're supposed to do next? Because we knew as actors, I knew my lines, I knew what scene we were in, but I didn't understand the direction that was. So I asked questions. What are we doing next? And I never felt like, oh, I shouldn't ask a question because someone will look at me. That's your own stuff. Get rid of it. Move on. And know that you deserve your place there, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you're unsure of what you're doing, so that you get it right, and be collaborative.
Yeah, that's terrific advice. Absolutely. And you mentioned raising 3 sons. So how have you been able to instill with that to them? And obviously, you being a role model and a woman who's very successful in her career in the business world, everything, to sort of make sure that they reach down, reach up, reach over, reach across, pull up to other women. Because as we know, unfortunately today, we still make 3/4 of what men do in the business world. There isn't enough women at the table. So how have you sort of instilled that for the next generation to say, hold on a second, I need you to be aware of this?
I think that, listen, you always had to respect women and their power in our home. It starts in your home. So much of our lives are our homes, and the peace that is in that home, and how people are speaking to one another in that home, and how people are respecting each other in that home, because we all go forth. We go back there at the end of the day, and we wake up and we go forth to our jobs from that place. And so, Tony and I, it was very important that home was filled with love, respect, kindness, empathy. That's how my boys walked this earth. And they saw their mom. I left before they woke up. I came home when they had already gone to bed. You know, the entertainment business, the hours are unbelievable. And I couldn't take them to doctor's appointments. I was very lucky. I had my parents to help me. I had Tony who would plug in when he could. So they just saw a mom working really hard at something that she was really good at. And they would come on set and they would see people on set, how I spoke to the people on set. You know, they would come in and the Teamsters would be in my trailer making ice cream, because the Teamsters are the guys that keep my trailer clean. And if it's cold out, they turn the heat on for me. And if they, you know, so my kids just saw me at the workplace and saw me collaborating and saw me respecting everyone's job. So I think that I didn't necessarily have to say to them, you have to respect women. They saw their father respecting me. They saw me respecting myself, knowing my worth. And I think it's just, they've all had female bosses. They don't even think, I'll hear a name and I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, she's my boss. I'm like, oh, you have a female boss. It doesn't even, for them,
That's great. Yeah.
They don't even think, oh, I have a female boss. They're just like, why wouldn't I?
It's my boss. Yeah.
Boss.
But I think it's great that the example you set, that was empowering in itself, right? So I think that that's a good example that a lot of us can take. Just do and be, and they will watch by example. That is fantastic. Thank you. It was so great to talk to you. And I want to let you know too, and everybody else, what we're doing is Your Hour, Her Power. So what they're doing at Dress for Success Atlanta is that if anybody out there would be willing to donate us their 1 hour of pay. So if you make $20 an hour, we'll take $20 and donate it to Dress for Success. It's atlanta.dressforsuccess.org. Think about all the money we can raise. So anybody out there who wants to help this amazing organization, that would be great. We provide not only for women and we provide for their family. They give them training, not only just clothes, but also emotional and psychological support. So it's the whole being, so that we can help other women as well. So Jami, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being in Atlanta now and giving us a future ring, because we feel it in our souls.
I came tonight, and I just want to shout out my love to Dress for Success, a worthy cause that I'm so proud of.
Yes, and thank you. We appreciate all your support. You've been so wonderful to us. You embody everything that Dress for Success stands for. So we thank you, and we thank everyone for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on that podium accepting the ring with the players. So well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jami.
Thank you.